cities, and then if you click a city, we'll make an API request and get a picture from that city. Okay? Obviously, the weather changes depending on the city. And this is something I noticed Gwen doing yesterday. You know, you guys, I want you guys to make every one of your apps pretty, okay? And show a little love to it. You know, I hadn't been doing that myself, but I forgot to show you guys that. I want you guys to put your name on it so you guys can be proud of these apps in the future. And then one day you guys are gonna work on it some more. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and move into lecture though. Welcome back to class. It's week 4, day 3. We're going to work with React and use APIs, a very common requirement. But we're going to have a review. What did we do yesterday? What did we do? Yes, we work with state, right? We started asking questions about stuff. And then these questions about the state of the application, you know, told us what would happen later. You know, some state of the application would tell us what would happen later, right? So for example, if we had const Loy, right? And then we said Loy is gay, right? True, right? What is this right here? What's like the boy is gonna be? True. What's it gonna be, guys? It's gonna be false. It's gonna be really likes the boys. It's true. Okay? And this is going to do what in our application, guys? What's it gonna do? Later on, we're gonna write little functions. Enjoys activities. Right? Enjoys activities. And it's gonna take a person, and then we're gonna just look at that person, and we're gonna decide what to do based on that person. For example, we say a person is gay. Right? If is gay, then, you know, something. I don't know. The possibilities are endless. Okay? It's endless. But this is concept that I want you guys to know. What is this right here? What is Loy going to be in the future? State. Exactly. Okay? And state can represent anything. And many components will have their own states. Okay? I know that this is going to be tricky later on. All components are going to have their own state. Not all. Yes, in a way, yeah. In a way, you can think of it that way. Like different components can have their own states, and then there's a higher level state called application state, and then later on we're gonna learn about a concept called a framework called Redux, which also has this idea of application state. But to be honest with you, I think the simplest thing you could think of is that your app component has application state, and this is where I want you to think of all state, okay? And then inside of that one, other components can have their own state, but this is the most important state. The app component state is the most important piece of state.
And then the states.
So we can pass state using what? Let's look at the code that we wrote yesterday. Why? So let's talk about why would we need to pass state? Why would that be useful? Why do you want to pass state?
Because other function would know if we change the state in this, so that they behave accordingly.
Exactly. So we've done that. What do we do here on line 61? We have a value inside of our app component that can change. This is our app component, right? What's changing inside this app component? A choice and a computer choice, right? And what's it doing? It's what's this line doing, guys? This isn't black magic. This is doing something. This is doing something very, very important. We need to know exactly what this is doing right here. This is passing a property to our component choice card. What is choice card? Is this black magic? No, this is simply a component. We defined it. This is the last lesson we had yesterday. This is one of the most important concepts in React right here, that you can pass properties to your components, and those properties will dictate how the component behaves.
Are we going to go over that again today? The props from the component cards? It's like,
I guess we can. Hold on, let me think about this.
Yesterday I was doing it the other way for a while.
What were you doing the other way?
Not using the function and properties instead.
I want you to, so these are all going to work together, right? These are all going to work together. We talked about passing properties in React because that's what we need to do. We have to do this long term. Because right now, like I'm gonna show you one component right here. This is how I built the weather app, right? This seems simple, right? Very easy. I have one render function right here, right? But what's inside this nav right here? What is this? That's a component. That's just another component, right? But if I look at this code and I copy it,
Catch that.
and I put it here. Now, is this easier to read? No, it becomes much more difficult to read. And then if I take out this one, right, and I say, you know what, let's go ahead and also unrefactor this spinner component. We'll put this where it needs to be. And the problem becomes much more severe, okay? That's all there is to it. It becomes more severe as your components can become more complex in their behavior. Some of us already ran into that problem, right? Kung, I watched you, started getting confused. Rock and paper scissors is not confusing, man. I'm telling you, it's a really easy game, okay? Just try it, think about it, and you can understand rock, paper, scissors, okay? All right, so you will get practice, okay? Well, one thing to think about here, I know that like I didn't want you to feel like I don't want you to feel like I dismissed what you said, but we are passing props already, okay? What is button right here? This is also a component, and we're passing a property called onClick. And what is the value of this property? It's a function, right? And what's the value of this style property right here? No, this is an object. And this object is either going to look like this, or it's going to look like this. Once at runtime, it becomes one or the other, okay? Whenever it's called runtime. I'm sure some of you guys have read some documentation and ran across this. And lastly, we also had class name. And remember, our class names change, our properties change the way the functions behave, right? Just think about this. I have some styles in my choice container, right? I delete this, or I change it to be something else. Does it work the same? Does it work the same, guys? Huh?
What was your question again?
The question is, my class name is choice container, right? This class name thing right here is a property. I change this choice name to anything. Does it still work correctly?
If you define it in class, right?
It won't work correctly. I'd have to now go change the styles, right? So just like, like for example, like if I close it, right? If I change is gay, right, to like, I don't know, if I just deleted it, let's just say I deleted it, right? This would fail. This would not fail. This would be a silent error. This is what the error that we were just ran across, right? This just can never be true. This can never be true because this object person dot is gay, like this will always return false, right? It'll always return false. So I can never ever have this code execute. Okay? So like we got to think about how our code is moving along. The electricity is flowing through the building. Remember, I told you guys our applications are like buildings, and our data is like electricity. It's just flowing back and forth depending on a bunch of different things. Okay? Okay, so let's talk. Remember, guys, there's a way to define a default state right here. There's a couple other ways, and you guys are expected to know all ways, to be honest with you, okay? Like, I want to show you the latest and the greatest only, right? But as I shared this with my previous class, you can also get yelled at for not knowing how to do it the old way, okay? The new way that we write code that came out 4 years ago, there are people that have been writing code 10 years, right? And they did it the old way for 6 years, and they expect you to know how to write code that way, or at least understand what it does, okay? So that's why today I'm actually going to show you 2 techniques to do the same thing, and they're both actually kind of a lot different, but they achieve the exact same goal, okay? Guys, help me, ask me any questions if you guys have any questions, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and move on. This is not right. Why can't I click this? Whatever, I just reviewed. I gave you guys a higher level updates. I feel like you guys as well, You guys figured out something. I don't know. You guys probably don't know a lot. Actually, I know you don't know a lot, but you guys got a basic idea. Remember, today we've been looking at fetching APIs in React, calling APIs. So we can use the vanilla JavaScript way of doing this, and we're going to show you that way because this is like the most basic way to get it done, right? But there are libraries that do this that will incorporate other features, and you guys can become more familiar with them later, okay? Just like CSS, yes, you can use Bootstrap, but if you know how to use CSS, your life is a lot easier with Bootstrap. There isn't a whole process behind the life cycle of a component. The thing to think about here is that components, they will change over time, right? What does that mean? What does that mean? So let's look at the app that we built yesterday. If I click this button, what's gonna happen, guys? What's gonna happen to this component right here? It's gonna see, we're gonna see a picture, we're gonna see a title, a bunch of different stuff, potentially, right? So what's going to happen is the component will mount, right? That's what they call it, that's the technical term. It will mount to the screen. And then if we click another button, another component will mount. What essentially the mental model that React wants you to have is that React throws away the old component and then it creates a new one. Okay? That's a mental model. And can we confirm that? So if we look at our elements, we look at our root, we look at our app, we look at our choice container, we're gonna see two containers right here, right? You guys are gonna see this highlight when I click this button. Whoa, why did it not highlight? Okay, I must have missed a concept. Okay, it doesn't render the entire thing again, but the DOM nodes, which the update are rendered again. You guys are gonna hear that phrase, the DOM node. I expected the whole thing to re-render again, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Well, all the stuff inside of it. I was expecting this whole thing to be thrown away. Okay, but the thing is like React does have some like very smart stuff going on, like some super computer science stuff that where like they're trying to make your computer run more efficiently. It tries not to re-render everything over and over and over and over and over again. Why? Why is that important? Your computers are fast and powerful, right? False. Some people do not have fast and powerful computers. This guy, for example. And also people in Africa, and also people on their mobile phones, and a lot of places, man. There's a lot of slow computers in the world. So they're like, yes, your computers are fast and powerful, but we need performance. Performance is a new issue, okay? So just know that React there's constantly an army of people trying to make it better, make it run faster. So what I tell you that may be true today may not be true tomorrow, but what I'm trying to say is that React is smart enough to know that it does not need to render certain things again, okay? Do you remember the Canvas game? It was just constantly running. If you had 20 of those open, your computer would crash, right? Your computer would become very slow, right? So React is thinking about stuff like that. Where am I at? You guys will become more familiar with this over time. To be honest with you, there's something new that has came out within the React community that can almost replace this. Not all of it, but a lot of it. Who knows? Yes. Why do my TAs not say anything?
I raised my hand.
I didn't see any hands. Qual, what are you doing over here, man? What did I just ask you? God damn it, Qual, you gotta set a better example, okay? There's hooks coming out. Now I want you guys to learn about them one day. You guys are gonna see them. If you're a professional React developer in 2020, you guys will need to know what hooks are. Okay? There's a whole bunch of articles and videos on the internet about them. But that being said, you guys also need to know how React has been written for the last 6 years, because you will in fact read code that was written the way it was written for the last 6 years. Okay? You guys need to know both of them. But today we're going to talk about one special other component or method. We're talking about component did mount. If you use any of the other ones, I would guess that you guys are doing something wrong. That would be my hypothesis. Component did mount is a method that will fire when your component mounts. There's going to be the situation in which you need your component to do something. When your component is, you need to do it after the component is on the screen. Okay? Very simple. Just define a method on our component that is called component did mount, and then put whatever you want in that method. So once again, we're going to be building an API request and a weather app, a weather app. And we're the process is we need to show a spinner. Okay, we got to show a spinner. And then when our API request comes back in, we hide the spinner and we show some data. So let's look at it one more time. Okay, here's my app. You guys notice that I have a spinner. Why do we have spinners? Yeah, we just want to indicate to the user, guys, this is the skill, this is what it's going to make you a pro developer. A bunch of little skills like that, a bunch of little indicators to the user. Let them know what's going on. That's what sets people apart, I would say. It goes for just a second. Sometimes the API request is slow, sometimes it's fast, right? But in conjunction, I want you guys to do what a couple of you guys did yesterday. Do it more. Make it beautiful. Make it yours. Okay. The example you guys see in the lecture. Where's that? This is not good enough. Okay. This is garbage. I consider this garbage. Who wrote this code? Who wrote this? Where's this guy at? Damn it, he didn't put his name on this one. Whoever wrote this is not good enough. That's what I'm telling you right now. Okay, so we should only be fetching one time, right? And our components should be sharing data, right? So we're going to do that, actually, now that I think about it. We're going to create a bunch of components, and then we're going to create some simpler components in order to get a feel of how to create components. Okay, so we have any questions so far? Fine, you guys see the app, right? What else? What else, you guys? You have any questions? You guys understand what's going on here? Sorry, I kind of just breezed through that, didn't I? Yeah. Oh, my bad, wrong one. No, but you guys understand what's going on, right? We've done something very similar to this. Okay, we got an app. Look, let me just look at this one more time. I don't know why I did it so quickly. What the? Okay, we're just building an app. We come to school every single day at Coder School and build apps. We can do this. This is what we do every single day. So you can see that the application loads, and then we see what? A city. What city is this? Huh? But give me a better idea of what city this is.
This is the current location?
Yes, this is the current location. That's exactly what it is. Okay? And the current location, the state of our current location is a latitude and a longitude. And we use that latitude and longitude to figure out what city we're in. There's a bunch of steps here, But the state of our application is that we have our current location, and with that, we can determine a lot of other things, including our city, including the weather, including the temperature, right? This isn't black magic. We're gonna do this. We're gonna use the skill of calling an API request to do this in conjunction with React. Any questions? Okay. All right. So sweet. No questions. I'm gonna turn this off. We'll go ahead and okay. What's now? A little bit confused. Okay, you guys can see that I'm just on my working folder. Okay, am I recording? Yes, I'm recording. So I'm just going to npx create React app, React weather. Is it faster this time, right? Maybe yesterday was pretty slow.
Yeah, mine's take like 5 minutes.
Lie, cheat, or steal, I told you. Doesn't make you a bad person. You're doing this for your family, okay? You're doing this for your family. No one's going to be mad at you. Okay, so what am I doing, guys? What are we looking at right now? Yes, we're looking at, that's exactly what we're looking at. Thank you. Thank you for paying attention, someone named Kung. So I'm going to start my server to prove that this bad boy is working, okay? And we're starting it. We're kicking it. I hope to see weather. Come on, baby. Weather app, okay? We just opened up our app.js component and we changed it. Very simple. Okay, so yesterday, let's just call the API request first. That's what I'm trying to figure out how to break this up into smaller lectures. We're gonna figure out how we get our data. Okay, guys? So the first thing we need to do is, I forgot. We gotta call the API. Where is it at? We gotta use a global variable called our navigator. Okay. There's a free function, a free object available called the navigator. Here's my code. My bad, I didn't open up my code editor. So, when do we want to figure out the current user's location? As soon as the app loads, we want to make a request and say, hey, what is your current location? Okay? So, we're going to now delete everything in app.js, and we're going to do RCC and replace it, okay? The reason why I want to do this is because I want to introduce a new function, right? This new method, component did mount. If I start typing it out, you guys can see it's shortcutted here. Okay, we define it, and I'm just going to console.log test. Okay, I save it, I refresh, I see nothing. But if we open up our console, we see what? Test. So we proved that this component has fired whenever the or that this method has fired whatever our component mounted to the screen. Okay? So inside of here, what can we do? I advise you guys to do it this way. We're just going to call a function. Okay? Because your component did mount is going to become very long. Okay, we're going to call a function, getWeather. What is this? This is an undefined function. So we're going to define it. So we call getWeather. We'll console log getWeather. I expect us to see getWeather. So I refresh, we see test, and we see getWeather. Okay? So now, what can we do? What did we learn about APIs like a week ago? We can call them, right? We can do const response is equal to fetch. And what goes inside of here, guys? Yes, a URL. I forgot what the URL was, to be honest with you.
I thought we do async something, right?
Yes, you can, but I was going to show you the error again. Thank you for reminding that. See, I was hoping that you guys would do that. Okay, so click school. CD. Yes, we're going to see a failure. I was just going to show you the failure to see whether or not you guys are paying attention. I honestly don't remember the API because there are so many of them. Here's our API right here, okay? So, what does this look like, guys? This is just a URL. It has a root path. It has a route path. And then this what are these right here after the question mark?
Latitude.
Yeah, one of them is latitude, one of them is longitude, and the last one is? Yes, exactly. So I'm just going to copy this, okay?
Component did mount, that just makes it render right when this page loads.
This makes it, this function fire, all this code will run when the component is prepared. Think of it that way. When it's prepared to do work. Sometimes you need it to do certain things before it loads and then it does additional work, because additional work may take time, right? So imagine like you load Google Analytics, for example. We look at Google Analytics. We don't want to have the user look at a white screen for a very long time. See how it takes a while? So we do certain things that load, and then we fire API requests, and then that API takes some time to respond, and then we do more. Okay? So I copied over this URL right here, but I do not have a latitude or a longitude. So how can we get a latitude or a longitude? We need to use the secret thing right here, okay? I'm gonna actually just comment this out right now so we can look at it. Because honestly, I forgot what it was. We're gonna do console.log navigator. Save it. We refresh. What is this, guys? Is that clear? I'm sorry, this is confused. Someone give me a color. Green. Someone give me an animal. Cat. So right here, we got a green cat. Okay? What is this right here? This is just an object, okay? This object has many keys. These keys have values. Some of the values are what? Some of the values are strings. Some of the values are objects. Some of the values are numbers. Some of the values are arrays. Some of the values are booleans. There are many, many complicated objects that your JavaScript runtime has access to, okay? They're there for free. You don't need to know what all of them do. You just need to Google something, some code, right? How do I access users, how do I ask user notification permission JavaScript, and you'll find a code example, a code snippet, right? Well, this is not the one. I already looked through it for you, okay? Here it is, right here. So what is this right here? Inside of our navigator object, we have a key called geolocation, right? Inside of that key, we have what? Another key called get current position. Get current position, what's its value? What is it? Yeah, what is it? It's just a function. And what does this function take as an argument? What kind of function? Huh? A callback. Who said that? Quinn? Function. Right. Okay, you guys are all right. I just want you guys to all think about this together, okay? So, let's think about a high-level overview of what's going on here. Okay? Navigator is a free object we get from JavaScript. Inside that, there's a key called geolocation, and the value of geolocation is another object called is a get current position, and that is a function. Okay, and that argument is just a callback. And inside of this, when we call it, it's going to give us the position of the user. Okay, so let's just console log it. Position. Okay, let's just say red, apple, green, turtle, white desk. Did I not say this? I'm just working. What the hell? Why isn't this firing? A component did mount. Someone help me out. I need some help. What the hell's going on? Is this firing? Huh. I don't know why it didn't work. I'm a little confused. Did you guys all see? Were you guys with it? I don't know what the hell I did. Who did this yesterday? Was it Kung? Or was it?
I did it last night.
What the fuck? Why did not work that first time? So anyway, you guys can see that this when this function calls, it's gonna be passing an argument. The argument is our position. Okay, there it is. Now, because we want shorter lectures, I want you guys to do that. Can you guys do that? And then set it to state if you want to go ahead. But I want you guys all to do it right now. I don't see computers out and stuff. Okay. We're gonna use component did mount. We're gonna call a function in component did mount, and that function is going to ask the user for permission to use their latitude and longitude. And you guys will then see the little pop-up right here. Okay. None of you guys will see that yet because I don't think any of you guys have asked for permission at localhost 3000. Okay, so you guys can see that basically what this is saying. Hold on, let me go ahead and show you one time real quick. I gotta turn this off. I forgot where to turn this off. Hold 1 second. Fuck. Turn off location permission for site Chrome. Okay, I'm gonna disable.
You freeze the screen.
Oh, my bad. Show advanced settings. Okay, hold on. Did you guys all see that pop up? Did you see this pop up right here? What the fuck? See this pop up right here that's asking me? There are many different types of pop-ups like that, right? The one that we're doing is one for asking for basically the user's location permissions. I'm gonna try to disable this real quick. Give me 1 second. Location. Okay, here we go. Hold on 1 second. So you guys can see that right now, what do we have? We're looking at our Chrome console. We can see that we allow localhost 3000 to access our current location, right? I can just delete this permission. Guess what's gonna happen when I refresh this page? Yeah, it's just gonna ask again. There it goes. Localhost 3000 asking me for permission. I set this one time. Chrome is going to remember my choice. So I allow. Notice how Right now, right here. The navigator's stuck in its execution. It's waiting for me to either say, "Hey, you're allowed to use this," or "You're not allowed to use this." Very simple. I allow, and then when we refresh, did I not console log it? Come on, man. What the fuck is this doing this again?
Take some time, yes.
Did I not allow it? I have permissions. Why is this? The fuck? Why is it doing this? Why? I
think it does take some time. I was trying to set the state inside the neo-geographic, and it said the state was undefined.
But a second ago it did this just as well. I'm really
So
confused.
that's just fire, right?
Okay. Oh. Okay. Yeah. So maybe it does take time. I'm really confused. I should be. I feel like it should be instant. Okay. So what I'd say to you guys earlier, that there are many different ways to write code, right? There's many different ways to write code, right, guys? So typically back in the day, people would do this with fetch. Before we'd use async and await, we'd do fetch, and then we'd pass in our URL. Okay. So I'm just gonna copy this URL here, paste that. Oop, my bad. So delete this. Delete this. What's this? What is fetch right here, guys? Remember, it's just a free function that we have available, right? Right? And I'm gonna fix this so that I can pass in the API key. And in order for this API to work, what do I need? Okay, so this position object, it has what on it, guys? What key? Who here looked at it? I asked you guys to look at it. You guys know where it is?
It has location or
No, it's inside of this object. There is a chords key that has an object inside of it. Inside of that chords key, it has latitude and longitude. So how can I access that? I can do const lat equals position dot chords dot lat. I think dot latitude. Okay, dot latitude. And the same thing is true for longitude, obviously, right? Oop, longitude. Okay, so if I console.log lat right here, and then long, I save, I refresh, I have these values. We're just extracting this from that object. So now we're going to call our fetch function, right? But we're not going to use async await. We're gonna do it the old way. Okay. So typically in the back in the day, it's a series of callbacks. Those of you who have done research on this and remember what I said last time, it's called callback hell. Okay. So basically, you know how sometimes we can do map, for example, and then join, and blah blah blah, a series of function calls in a row. That's exactly what we're about to do. So after our fetch returns here, we're gonna call another function on it, the then. So once this is done, then do this, okay? So this is going to take a callback. This function call for then is simply going to take a callback, okay? And the first thing we're gonna do is just console log to prove that this is a function that it takes. So we save it. Okay, my hair is lat, and that's long. Okay. If I save it, we see that function fire, right? This inside this then. Red, apple, gray, computer, pink, panther. Okay? This is the callback that is being passed to a then. This is simply a function. That simple. We refresh, we see that this function gets fired. So that's not that useful, okay? We need to do something more here. So what do we have here? We have a response. Remember that thing we'd get back when we did it the old way? We'd say fetch the URL, and then we'd assign it to an object called what? Response. We do something like this. We do const response equals fetch, and that's what we get back. Blah blah blah. This is no different. We're gonna have a response here. Okay? And what did we do with the response, guys? We had to parse it. Right? So before I do that, let's just console.log response. And what is our response here? It's exactly an object. And what do we need to do with it? We need to parse it. But notice how we got this failure, right? We parsed it immediately, it failed on us. Why? Because this is going to take some time. So once this is done, we call then again. Okay? And this is also going to take a callback. I'm going to call this one JSON data. And we're just going to look at this one as well. JSON data. So we save it. Oh my bad, we didn't return right here on line 21. We save it, we refresh. Failed to execute, body stream is locked. Can I do that? Okay, this is the way I did it. My bad. I already called that and I can't do it again. That was a destructive function call. When I call .json, it destructively changes the object. So notice that we had to call our then twice. What are both these thens taking? They're both taking a callback. Exactly. The first one will always parse the object. Okay, it's always going to take it and say, hey, turn it to JSON. I need to turn this object into JSON before I can use it. The second one will be the JSON data. Okay.
Parsing just means turn it into JSON.
Parse, you can parse to int, you can parse to string. Parse means to translate almost, or to convert. Parse, yeah, exactly. Not necessarily data type, it could be anything, right? Parse, parse is almost like translate or convert. You can think of it that way. So we're gonna say Fung was right, and we're gonna console log that. And what do we have here? We have another object. Now what does this object have in it? That's interesting. Come on, guys. What does it have in here? What are the things that you guys can read? You guys can all read, right? What's it telling us? It's telling us a lot of the information about what we're at. Okay, it's telling us our location, our temperature, our humidity, our pressure, what type of weather, right? And obviously, this can do a lot more. I want you guys to do what? Guess what I want you guys to do? I want you to research this API today. Fuck around with it, have some fun, okay? That kind of sounds serious. I want you guys to have fun, okay? And this is part of the job, is having fun, okay? Have fun, play around with the documentation, okay? So now I've shown you how to create a React component, to ask for permissions, to fetch data the old way. Let me go ahead and delete these console logs so this is easier to read.
So we're going to practice the old way today?
Say again?
We're going to go the old way today?
No, I'm going to do, so I did it this way. I'm about to show you right now, okay? So this works, right? This is the old way. There's one more step I haven't shown you guys. Typically, we need to do a catch, right? This is if something fails. So I'm going to say console.log, my request failed. Why can a request fail, guys? There's a million reasons why a request can fail. Maybe the user turned off their internet. Maybe they're driving through a tunnel. Maybe they're in the middle of the Pacific and they don't have signal. What is our app going to do? It's going to fail, right? This API request is going to fail. Another thing is, what if we just wrote bad code and our API is wrong? We save it, we refresh. Now we can see that our request failed. So we're catching for that error. Do you guys remember try catch? Remember showing you guys try catch?
Throw before you catch, right?
Say again?
Do we have to throw before we catch?
No, you don't. If it fails. If any of these steps right here before the catch fails, any line of code in here fails, then catch will catch for us. And this is where we're gonna say, hey, show an error message. Or we can make an additional API request and tell our server that this API request failed when you guys get more advanced, okay? So this is the old way, okay? So now I'm gonna show you, hold on, I'm in the right place here. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to make it asynchronous, okay? So notice that position here. Okay, no. Yeah. So we can just stick async right here. That would work. And then what can we do here? We can do const response is equal to await. Let me just copy this one. Fetch. Okay, my bad. I should just delete that. Fetch. What if we do if we look at console log, guys? Come on now. Why is it okay? I fetch this. Fuck! I fucked up the API. I forgot to go back on this. Open. Whether. Map. I think that's what it is. And there we go. The same thing works. It works in exactly the same way. But this code is actually more difficult to read. And you guys can imagine if we're fetching a bunch of different requests, right? And then like all the different things you got to think about because it's much more difficult to think about, okay? So the next step is what? Const JSON data is equal to response.json. So we do console.log JSON. I spelled this wrong. Save it, refresh. Oop, what do? We need to await, thank you. We save it. We see we have the exact same result. I prefer this way. I would prefer this is faster and it's easier to read in my opinion, okay? And the thing is, I only want each function to do this one time. The problem that you're going to run into right here, right, is that if something happens, right, let's just say this step, right, you're gonna have to call another fetch. That's what you're gonna run to eventually, right? And then guess what you do here? You're gonna do a dot then. And guess what are you gonna do here? You gotta do the response thing. Okay, this becomes, obviously more complicated and then more nested and more difficult to think about, right? So this is the way I want you guys to do it. Fuck me, I fucked this up. Okay, so you guys now have see that there are two different ways to do this. I want you guys to take this, right? Compare these, read the lab, and then just make it beautiful. At this point, you guys have got your data. Okay, you figured out where your data is, and you guys have instructions to how to make it beautiful. Yes.
With the new method, what about what we have failed request?
Say again.
With the new method, so what if we have my request fail?
Okay, so my bad, I got off topic. So the way that we solve this right in ES6 is what? We use something called a try and the catch. Try catch. And this right here will take an error argument. We stick error right there. So now you can do console.log error. Okay, let's go ahead and fail it again just to make sure. You save it, refresh, error. Okay, so this is going to make sure that our code, oh my bad, did I do this twice? I'm console.log. So we got the error right there. It's going to tell you it failed to fetch correctly. Why? Because this is wrong. If I now fix this, open weather map, save it, refresh it, it doesn't fail. Right? It doesn't fail because we called the correct API, right? And so we're going to be looking at this one right here. Open weather map. Is this one? Open. Yeah.
No, if we don't specifically tell it.
What do you mean? We did tell it to fetch right here.
No, the error.
It just because the fetch is whoever who designed this function, who wrote this function, they're smart enough to know that if I call the wrong API, I'm gonna get A, B, C result, right? So basically, I type in some garbage like this, right? It's the wrong API. It gave back a 500 to the fetch. Fetch just knew it for us. It was like, oh shit, this isn't a good one, right? So that's why we want to have some functions defined for us to give us some black magic, okay? Fetching data is so common that it comes for you for free, And the same thing is true of error handling, and the same thing is true for getting the location of the user. All this comes for free, and you guys will come more familiar with them with time. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix this. Let's go ahead and get this data. You guys can choose whichever method you guys want right here, right? Choose whichever one you want, and then we'll move forward.